Everyone, welcome to the World Fitness Project first ever YouTube video, and which will be a very important one as we'll answer some very good questions that you guys asked on Instagram. Before he comes on, I guess if you guys want to do a little introductions of yourselves to everyone, so we can start with Will and then Jackson.
Let's do it. Hey everyone, I'm Will Morad. I'm the Director of Sport at the World Fitness Project and a member of the executive team, founding team.
My name is Jackson. I am the Director of Operations here at the WFP. I'm also part of the executive staff. I'm just super excited to work alongside this great group of people and chat and answer some questions.
So if you guys, you can just like start doing a little intro on what is the WFP, I guess, and where it stems from, where it started.
Jay, want to hit it?
I mean, I can hit it, but you got a good answer to it.
I'll chime in.
I'll start. The WFP, it was created from what Will and I and the rest of our team with Good Life was working on to create a sports facility HQ in Nashville for our nonprofit that we run. And then as that slowly developed and our ideas got bigger and bigger, it slowly came into fruition of what the WFP is now. And it really just stemmed from our love for sport in general and our love to create something cool and something interesting. And I think that the idea of a tour sport is really fun and really cool. And bringing it into the fitness landscape is going to be interesting, and it's going to be really fun to see how it incorporates just how we like bring and mesh all of the different parts of fitness together.
Right. Yeah. So I started, just to piggyback off of that, I started working with Jackson and his wife, Bella, at Good Life, which is a nonprofit that helps underprivileged youth learn about fitness, provides them free coaching, workout programs, all that type of stuff, in a lot of underprivileged areas. So they had gyms, and they have 2 in Africa, 1 in Costa Rica that's under construction, and 1 in Alabama, which is a pretty awesome initiative. And that I started working with them in 2023, right before Rogue, actually. And that was kind of going to be the transition for me into retirement life.
Still busy though.
Yeah, which is not retirement life, but it kind of kept me in the space, and it let me utilize a lot of the really cool relationships that I created over the past decade in the sport. Yeah, we were planning to build a gym and HQ for that initiative to help subsidize some of the efforts and some of the builds and all the outreach that we were doing internationally in Nashville, and then run a big competition, big in gym competition for all the athletes that maybe were injured, kind of like the NIT to what is the NCAA. So just extending the season for these athletes that just kind of get cut short if they're hurt, if they're sick on the weekend that it matters to qualify, all that stuff, trying to create something that's not so a single elimination. And that evolved as I got hurt at semifinals in 2024. Cut my season short, and I was now going to be full-time operations with Jackson and his wife running that. And that was May.
Yeah.
And we were like, man, that's really tough. Maybe we could do a couple of events in our facility and just try to create a bit more consistency and continuity for a lot of the athletes in the space and the brands and the fans to just like support the people that they choose to support, because it's a pretty big community. And as that kind of kept spinning, we decided, you know what, let's just create a tour where we can kind of reallocate some of the funds that would have gone to a brick and mortar and build something that's a little bit more meaningful for a bigger community. Now, that doesn't mean we stopped the Good Life stuff. There's still Good Life initiatives going on internationally. It just changed the scope of what specifically I would be helping run, which is more league focused now. And because I would have been day to day in the brick and mortar in Nashville. So that's kind of the genesis of it. And since then, we've grown the team to, the executive team is the same executive team, but we've grown the team to over 20 people now. I believe in everybody that we've brought on, yourself included. It's everybody kind of aligns with what the mission is for the WFP, which is to create some more continuity and consistency for everybody involved in the fitness space. The athletes, the brands, the fans, the the creators, everyone. So we built our team from a grassroots approach. We signed on media guys that had experience in the space. We signed on our event directors who have a depth of history in, I mean, over 2 decades probably between Roger and Jason of experience running events, over 1,000 athletes, which is really important. They've owned gyms, so they're well connected there. Obviously, our safety team is probably the best in the space, run safety at all the big events.
Yeah.
And then that bleeds right down into the athletes, which is kind of where my heart and soul is, right? You know, I spent really my whole adult life as a pro athlete and built really strong relationships with a lot of the athletes that are on the roster. And they all kind of know what we're about and have been really asking for something like this to exist in the space for a long time. So to be able to help create that and bring it to fruition for the whole world is pretty incredible and not something that I'm taking for granted. And that couldn't have been done or started without the great team that we've built. I know I'm on my soapbox and I talk a lot, but that's kind of the genesis of it and what's behind the World Fitness Project.
Yeah, and also I think it's built by athletes for athletes.
Right.
With the experience you have yourself, I think it's very important into what you're bringing.
Yeah, it's unique, right? It hasn't really existed at this scale in the space where an athlete who was a pro for a decade or more is helping kind of lead the charge as to what the sport can evolve into. And I've talked to every athlete on the roster. I've talked to a lot of athletes that will be challengers. I've talked to all their teams, their coaches, their agents, all that stuff. And what I told them is like, look, let me be the conduit from the sport team to you guys and let me help listen to you. Let me help apply your thoughts to what could make this sport better. Yeah. It's a free flowing thing. Everybody's got my number. It's good and bad that they all have my number, but the good news is I'm friends with all of them. The bad news is they're all around the world, so my phone never stops ringing. But
you're close to it in a way that is positive, so that's great. So I guess there was some general information I think people like to know about. First, one that came up was, does the WFP have any plans to support the community? And in that aspect, for example, activations, will there be community events, community-wide competitions, and etc.?
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of flow here. The whole like backbone of what we're doing is supported by the community, right? And so whether it's through our events, through different activations, through the week of, through cool initiatives that we have that'll be releasing soon, I think there's a lot of ways that the WFP can support the community as a whole and create just fun competitions, fun events, fun atmospheres for them to enjoy things in and be a part of. I know Will and I have been, and the rest of the team have been working super hard on creating super cool like week of events, right? So it's not just a weekend that people are going to come and experience, but it's a whole build up of the events that are coming in. And I think going off of that, like the community is going to be a really big aspect of what we do and the way that we move toward the future of the WFP and the way that we bring everyone together.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, man. We have like Jackson said, we have some really cool initiatives that will be centered around Tour Week, but not just Tour Week, right? I think at the WFP, we're committed to supporting the fitness community, just the broader fitness community. And we think the tour provides a really cool space to promote that through media, through our athletes. So yeah, Tour Week, we have cool activations with all of our athletes in the local communities, in the gyms, Q&As, athlete-led workouts, that type of stuff that is kind of bringing them back to the grassroots and reconnecting the pros with the fans. And like I said earlier, the WFP is unique in the sense that we're focusing on obviously creating consistency and continuity for the pros, but also the fans and also the brands. And under the fans tab includes all the brick and mortar gyms, all their families. What is fitness? Like that's kind of what we're really focused on as it comes to tour week initiatives. We'll be posting a lot about what those exactly look like in the coming weeks. We've contacted a lot of the athletes about what ideas we have, and the people in our team that are kind of leading the community side of things.
Our guy right here, like he's about to start creating.
Yeah, man. There you go.
Yeah, lots of stuff in the making to create the storylines and share as much about the athletes involved as possible, all of them being as inclusive as possible, and sharing all those stories that we want to tell leading up to that first tour event. So yeah, it's coming. Circling back to the idea behind WFP, and like I think a lot of people were asking, and maybe that's more targeted towards you, Will. About future and expansion. What's the goal for the number of tour events per year? And for example, countries and places WFP would like to expand to in the future, because for now, obviously, you got the 3 tour events. But if you want to talk a little bit more about the futures and the plans behind that.
Right. Yeah. Not to disclose too much, but we've
of
had
course
cool
what you can disclose, or at least the goals.
Yeah, the goals, man. I mean, as the director of sport, and if we're going to talk about the pro side of things, the WFP wants to create a place where the best compete against the best on a global scale, and we want to be able to bring those exciting moments to every continent. Well, minus Antarctica, so 6 continents: North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. And none of those are outside of the realm of possibility. Every one of those continents has a thriving fitness community that we want to be able to serve. If you look at any major sport, they're going to all of those places, and especially major sport that's showcasing the best, the absolute best in the world. They want to go to all those communities and show them what we're all about, or what they're all about. So that's a huge plan of mine. We've already been actively discussing the 2026 season and expanding to some of those other continents, and just branching off of that. The community activations that are associated with those are really unique. And I think what's unique about our tour is we are bringing the best 60 athletes in the world, 30 men and 30 women, to these spaces to showcase what they're all about. And that really hasn't happened, right? Not more than once a year. So that can be aspirational for the youth, for even the masters athletes or the teams, to see their heroes do what they do in their hometowns. So if we're going to South America, obviously we have Guy, who's a star there and an incredible athlete, but then we're going to bring who's going to be on our roster in 2026, who knows, but it could be guys like challengers that come in. It could be like Colton. If he has a great year, he could come in and like be on the tour with us and go to South America. And the biggest Colton fan in the world could be in Brazil and he wouldn't even know it. So it's cool to be able to bring those, to showcase our athletes, or athletes that are aspirational about becoming a pro in different parts of the world. And that's what international sport should be.
And I think youth, the divisions in general, but youth is also a big part of what you're passionate about, Jackson, if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
No, I'm super, just kind of like my whole background is like in coaching and just mentoring youth, and not just in the fitness space, but just in life as well. And I think finding ways to, I was super excited to find ways to incorporate the teenagers and it's into our events and into our space, expanding like the divisions from 14 to 16, 17 to 19. I really wanted to do that because I think a lot of the kids that I've worked with in the past, when they like have crossed over and over 18, they can't compete in the teenage division anymore, then it's been hard for them. They kind of get discouraged and kind of phase out a little bit sometimes. But I think providing them a little bit more, space to still compete with people their age and still compete in those divisions and have fun, and not just like fitness isn't just about competing. It's about just being healthy and about being able to just enjoy the life that you've been given and live it in a healthy way. And so finding ways for those kids and teenagers to look up to our pros and our challengers and not just see them as athletes, but also see them as healthy people who are, trying to live in that way as well. So I'm super excited about that and being able to just kind of mesh that bridge there that may be between the two.
Yeah. And I think like it's with the way that those divisions are structured this year, you're lowering the barrier to entry, right? It's open registration for those. So it's easy for them to sign up and then be able to be in the same warm-up area as some of the people they look up to. Like, who are some of the other challengers that we have? I know, like I said, Colton, because I knew he signed up. Ikai, a Spanish up-and-comer who's an incredible athlete. Ant Haynes, like that's Spain, that's China, that's America. So who's to say that these youth that they're not the biggest fans of these guys, right? So it's exciting for those guys because they get the chance to become pros and create some stability for their careers, but it's also exciting for kids all around the world to have the chance to like work out in the same place as, you know, some of their heroes. So that's special to me.
And it's duos too, because like now you have your friend to go throw it down with. It's not as stressful as like a solo person event. So now you and your buddy from school can go throw it down on a weekend with some of the best athletes in the world,
right?
And go hang out with them. So I think that would be really special.
Yeah. So could you just run through all the divisions that you all have before we go to the next question? So
yeah, for sure. So we have our teenage division. So these would be duos, male, female, 14, 16, 17 to 19. We have masters divisions 35 to 49, and then 50 plus. Duos again, male, female. And then we have team divisions, elite, intermediate, and skilled. These would be teams of 4, male, female on both teams. And then we have our challengers and our pros. So the only individual divisions we have this year are challengers and pros. The rest are teams and duos. And for the masters, teens, and teams, all those are open sign up. So anyone can come sign up for those events. You don't have to qualify. You don't have to do an online qualifier. For the first event in Indianapolis, it opens up March 1st. So as soon as March 1st opens up, you can go get with your buddy, get with your team, sign up online, and then you're in to compete. Super accessible for those divisions. If you're a team, you don't have to be in the same gym. You don't have to be in the same location. Nothing's required. Just form the team and come compete and have fun.
Awesome. Before we move on to the next, I just want to welcome Ryan. If you wanna do a little introduction of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Ryan Husband. I'm the director of business development for the WFP and one of the founders as well. Super stoked about our project we're working on right now. My big project, what I'm gonna be working on, is just working on collaborations with brands, partners, vendors, and just kind of steering the ship of what our brand looks like from a collaborative effort. And just super excited about that and how we're going to be able to carry out something different than what's historically been done and just kind of make the landscape look a little bit different, a little bit more broad and open to just creating opportunity for people to be involved in functional fitness at a high level. So super stoked.
Awesome.
We're stoked you joined us, Ryan. Super happy.
I know, bro. I couldn't figure it out, man. I was like 20 minutes trying to get my mic on, but we figured it out.
It's a nice backdrop.
Hey, man. Hotel room, home to suites.
Shout out.
And I'm in Charleston, South Carolina right now. Fittest of the coast. My brother-in-law's competing. So we're out there.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that everybody managed to come on with all these different time zones. So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. So there's just like some general event questions that were asked in our Q&A the other day that I want to go through a little bit with you, Jackson, Ryan, and Will together. Some of them don't necessarily need long answers, but just what you have as of now in terms of information. So first of all, one of them was, will the events be streamed? So maybe Jackson, you can answer that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they'll be live streamed. I won't go into too much detail of some exact cool plans that we have because I want them to maybe be a surprise a little bit, but we have some really cool streaming that I think will add some cool watching options for people around the world. So yeah, the events will be live for anyone to watch.
And on top of the live stream, will there be allowance for outside media at the events?
Yeah, for sure. And this is something that you and I will work with together too. And you can kind of touch on it if you want to a little bit, but for sure, we're gonna have outside media in, allow people to come in and allow creators to create. We're obviously gonna have our team of creators within the WFP, but
yeah. So of course, like the specific like policies regarding like this, it's all in the works. We're discussing about that in collaboration with Hanu, our media director as well. And we just want to make sure we're as inclusive as possible with the people that we allowed to come on. And I think Jackson, talking about it with you wanted to make sure as well to get a chance to creators from all over the world to come in and cover the events. And then, of course, like we have our main media team, but we will do our best to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to come and cover the athletes and really showcase what the tours are. And I think it's really important for us. But then, like how many credentials we'll give and all that stuff, we're still in the works of that. Another question that was also very general, but how many workouts will there be in the tour events, and how many workouts will be in the qualifiers? That was like a question that came often as well.
You got it, Will?
Yeah, how much do we want to disclose? The tour events are 600 points each, and the finals will be 900 points available to the athletes. And the online qualifiers will be 3 workouts, and there could be a multi-part workout. I'll just put that out there.
We don't want to say too much yet.
There's the carrot. And the movement lists for the 2025 season have been distributed to the athletes, so they kind of know what could pop up. At least the pro guys have signed that. I imagine we're going to release that to the public for all the challengers and stuff to help them maybe target their training a little bit more. I know their coaches will like that. So
that's awesome. In the same vein, will there be a programming team for the competition, or is it one person programming everything?
Yeah, right now I'm doing all of it. I bounce the ideas off of the team a little bit. I'm keeping that really, really close to the chest just to minimize the chances of leaks and just, we don't want that. We want to create fairness, and that's been a problem in the past, and that's a big goal of mine. So let's say maybe we'll add to that team down the road as we expand, and it would be fun for me to be able to have different opinions on that. Maybe we bring on retired athletes or something to join the sport team down the road, and I can have more collaboration on those. But for now, it's a really tight group. I'm not going to tell you who's a part of that, just because I don't want them to get targeted. But yeah, it's not just me, but I'm leading that, certainly.
Okay, sounds good. Cool. And I think what's on the mind of a lot of athletes and just the community in general, and is like, how will WFP prioritize safety of athletes at the events?
Yeah, we can kind of, yes, and bounce off me here as well too. But so Joshua Hicks, he's going to be our director of medical and safety. So he is on staff with us. He is going to be leading the charge and creating the best medical team that he can. We've already been working on many different emergency action plans and getting all of our procedures in place to where if something were to happen, we have specific procedures to follow, right? And but he's been awesome. Hicks is he's very well known in the space. He is great at what he does. He's worked many high level events before, and I know our team fully trusts him with that and trust him and his abilities to keep our athletes safe if anything were to happen, and take care of them with the best that he can. And kind of going off of that, I know Will can chime in here too, but we're also going to provide physiotherapy work for our athletes as well. We're going to have a whole recovery station. We're going to have a whole athlete area. There's going to be many areas that our athletes can recover, take care of themselves, and just places they can recharge and rejuvenate back from competition. Not that new, but just something that we're going to put an emphasis on and make sure it's well taken care of for our athletes.
Yeah, and on that, as far as safety goes, I talked to our judges team, I talked to our equipment team, I talked to our event director team about floor layouts, about how we're positioning equipment, even movement selection and volume and all of that type of stuff to keep the athletes safe. I think even a cool thing that we're doing to promote longevity, which is a part of safety, is giving the athletes a movement list, giving them, the points that are available at each event, just so there is an expectation for what they'll be tested on, what the volume in the events will be, so they can train appropriately. And giving the athletes, 2-3 weeks with the actual events to help with the tapers is also a consideration that is important.
So, Will, I think some of the questions you can answer that'll come next, but feel free to chime in, Jackson and Ryan. Mainly about the pros for now. How did you guys choose the top 20? I think that's like a big question.
Right, yeah. So we used some of the ranking systems that are out there right now to pick our initial 16 men, 16 women. Some of that shifted because of injury, because of retirement, because of prior commitments that wouldn't allow them to compete in the season. And then after that, we just kind of picked 4 that we thought would represent the league in a really good way. Obviously, they showed that they had the prowess to compete with the best in the world prior. It wasn't just like a random person. We thought a little bit about the future of the sport and kind of where we wanted to take the WFP.
And can you share a little bit about what their contracts will look like? Because that's something brand new in the space, and the fitness space, at least, that's been seen in more mainstream sports, but that you guys are bringing in. I think that's pretty awesome. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can share a little bit about that. Try to keep the contracts a little bit private because that's a professional thing.
No, of course.
Yeah, they were structured to provide some financial stability or support for the athletes. They also include media commitments and media that's going to help promote them. So that's kind of a cool thing. It's the contracted athletes are all also guaranteed entry into all 3 events, which is some stability that we wanted to create for them, for their brand partners, for their families. Yeah, that's high level what those contracts entail.
Yeah. I think it's without going into details because I don't know them, but just myself, personal vision on them is it's such a great way to professionalize the sport, and make these athletes feel like pro athletes and give them the support to work as hard as they can all year round to do so, without maybe stressing a little bit less about financial side of things.
And I think that kind of bleeds into the whole structure of our season, right? If we can just help support them financially a little bit and offset some of the costs that have traditionally been present in the space, then that's something we wanted to do. We talked about providing accommodations and travel support, which is a big one, creating some financial stability for like within the contracts where they're getting paid. Actually, we're paying all the way to 30th place in our pro divisions, which is another thing that even our challengers who were not, they're not contracted, we're paying them a little bit for their efforts because they're still one of the best in the world if you finish 30th in one of our events. So to offset some of the travel costs and hotel costs that they'll incur just being a part of the league. So that is something that's really important to us. Obviously, the media showcasing them is a really big part of creating value for the athletes and the brands that they're associated with. So just trying to elevate every part of this thing is a big deal. And then doing it 3 times in a year.
The benefit to that too is even for the brands that support them, they have something they can plan over and know what's going on. I've been in the space for the last 7-8 years and I own a brand in the space. So being able to know when these events are going on further in advance gives the opportunity for brands to be able to actually truly support the athletes at a higher level and plan something around it. And with, we're already working on 2026 season and what that looks like as well, so that we can make sure we can provide those dates and important information for brands so they can continue to support for longevity.
Love that. So they'll get what's called a pro card. Can they lose that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's obviously we had to pick 20 to start the sport, but now it's all about performance. And if you're a signed athlete and you finish in 21st place at the end of the season in Copenhagen, then you're not getting a pro card for the next year. So it's all about performance, which is cool. That's what pro sport should be about. We're angling towards that as we expand.
All right. That's going to make things spicy. I like it. Just moving on a little bit to challengers, because that's something I think a lot of athletes that were not signed are very curious about, but just the people in general. What are challengers, and how do they compete and earn points? Can you share about that?
Yeah, a challenger is anybody that hasn't received a contract but is aspiring to be a pro as far as the level of athlete. They can sign up for the online qualifier that drops March 19th. The qualifiers start, and they can earn their spot into the tour. The top 30 athletes from the online qualifier will earn a spot to compete in Indiana. The top 10 will compete with the pros. The next 20 will compete in the challenger division. There's points associated with all those positions that will go towards the running season leaderboard. So if you are a challenger, you can just compete in one, but it makes a lot of sense to do both Tour Event 1 and Tour Event 2 to ensure that you have the best chance of qualifying for the finals, because the points are cumulative at the end of the season, and the top 20 athletes with the most points will earn pro cards for 2026. So challengers, you'll compete in an online qualifier for both Tour Event 1 and Tour Event 2.
I think it's good to say that challengers have an opportunity to earn a pro card as well.
Right.
Really cool. Awesome. I didn't even have to ask more. You did it all. About the trials. Can you tell more about the trials? What are the trials?
Yeah, so the trials is a month-long competition or a 3-week competition in October that is focused around the community. There will be 2 workouts every week for 3 weeks, and those will earn spots to the finals in Copenhagen in our duo divisions in the age groups, and then our team divisions for the teams of 4. So if you are in either the duo divisions in the age groups or the teams of 4 at each Tour Event 1 or Tour Event 2, and you finish on the podium, you'll get an invite to Copenhagen to compete in the finals. For the remaining spots for the Copenhagen event, you can take part in the World Fitness Finals that will be in October to fill out the rest of that roster.
World Fitness Trials.
Yeah, World Fitness Trials qualify you for World Fitness Finals in the age group and team divisions. Sorry, I've been talking a lot, guys.
I knew what you meant. I got you.
I ran out of coffee.
We're almost at the end. Just something people were curious about is, do we have plans for adaptive athletes in the future?
Yeah, definitely. A friend of mine is a prominent figure in the adaptive community, and I've been leaning on her on how to best serve that community in the future. So certainly.
Is there anything you guys would like to add? We've covered most of the questions that were asked.
I think really, man, just what we're all about, right? We're about the people. We're about creating a strong community, and we're about supporting athletes. From the sports side, I want to create the premier fitness tour in the world and put it on all 6 continents that we can do it. Maybe Antarctica will do a showcase. And then on the community side, we just want to be able to give back and create opportunities for them to support these athletes, to throw down in the same places as them, to bring the athletes to their gyms. We're about the people, we're about the community.
And creating spaces for both parties to feed off each other, like the athletes to support the community to support the athletes. And it all should work in one. And like the best case scenarios, they should be supporting each other and they should feed off each other. If one succeeds, the other should succeed together. Have fun too. Like I think this season is gonna be really fun. We have a lot of cool things, cool people involved, and I know the event's gonna be super hype and super fun. So
if you're a challenger, sign up for the qualifier. Go earn your pro card. If you're a fan, go buy tickets. Come say hi. We're pretty cool.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
See you in Indy.